Hey you guys, and welcome back to my Spooktober challenge. Today I am going to be doing something a little bit different. I love hot drinks around this time of year because it's getting colder and there's nothing better than curling up with a book, a blanket and a nice steaming cup of beverage. So I'm going to go through with you my hot drinks collection, which is pretty extensive. So let's do this. I'm going to split these off, before I forget, I'm going to put these into different categories of tea, hot chocolate and other, because it's pretty much all I drink really. So I'm actually going to start with tea, which is probably one of the biggest parts of my collection. The first one is an absolute classic and it's an Earl Grey from Twinings. Now Twinings were the company apparently that actually created the Earl Grey blend for the Prime Minister of the time in 1831, and the Prime Minister liked it so much, he was also known as Earl Grey, that he asked for his name to be put onto the blend, and it has been Earl Grey ever since. It is a black tea with a major bergamot twist. So it is a really, really lovely, fresh, citrusy one, great for in the morning or even with afternoon tea. I like to drink this with milk, but I also quite like it with a little slice of lemon, completely black. This next tea is probably a really sentimental one for me because I drank this a lot in the summer of 2013, and it is the Mary Rose tea from the brand All About Tea, which is an independent brand from Portsmouth. They actually created this blend of Ceylon and Assam for the opening of the brand new exhibition for the Mary Rose back in 2013. Of course they didn't drink tea on the Mary Rose. We didn't really start drinking tea until the late 1700s, early 1800s. But it's a nice, strong, full-bodied black tea which is great with milk or on its own. This bag I actually found whilst clearing out my cupboard because I thought I'd run out after my good friend Simon actually bought me this bag because Matt and I love it so much, but we don't get to get hold of it very often because you can only get it at the Mary Rose Museum in Portsmouth. So Simon, if you're watching, hi and thanks so much. I will pay you back at some point. This next tea is actually a loose blend tea. It's also a black tea and is also special. It is the Jane Austen blend from Gillard's of Bath, which is an independent tea company that hangs out in a little stall in the Guildhall Market. I'll put all in the description below all the suppliers of my collection before I forget. So the Jane Austen blend is a blend of Chinese black and green tea, pretty much the kind of tea that you would have drunk if you were in one of Jane's novels or even during the Regency period. Tea was one of the most popular beverages of Jane's time, and Jane herself liked her tea with a little bit of sugar and nothing else. So this blend was actually created for the Regency tea rooms and the Jane Austen Centre, and is sold both at the actual merchant and at the centre / Regency tea rooms. So if you're ever in Bath, I highly recommend picking up some. They only do it in a loose leaf blend, and in another video, I'm not sure whether I'll do it for Spooktober or for another time, I will teach you guys how to make loose leaf tea. Great, so those are my one-off teas. I'm now going to be showing you teas that I have exclusively from two particular brands. One is Whittard of Chelsea, which has again been around since the 1800s, and also T2, an Australian tea brand that have been around for the early 2000s and recently came to the UK a couple of years ago. So I'll start with the T2 because I've got quite a few T2 teas. T2 only do tea, and They majority do loose leaf blends. I haven't really come across any tea bags from them as of yet. So the first tea I'm going to show you is the French Earl Grey. It is a slightly floraler, much lighter version of Earl Grey, and it's meant to be enjoyed on its own. You've got black tea, you've got the bergamot flavouring, as well as hibiscus, sunflower petals, rose petals and mallow flowers. So as you can imagine, it is so much more delicate than the usual Earl Grey, which I find is a zesty smack in the face first thing in the morning. I actually prefer this in the afternoon than I do in the morning, and I highly recommend it for that. I just love the boxes that they come in. The next tea is probably my only unusual tea in this lineup, and it is the White Rose Tea. It is a white tea, which is when the tea has been barely processed at all. I'll probably do another video explaining more about how tea actually works. Not in Spooktober, but just as a general video. But in the meantime, this is a white tea. You drink it without milk on its own, and this one has rose petals in it. I'm obsessed with rose as a flavour, as I said in one of my candy videos. So this is definitely one of my favourites. Again, this is a really lovely delicate tea, so great for the afternoon or early evening. This is the complete opposite. It is the Hot Date Chai. It's a lovely big packet. I believe this was actually limited edition, so I picked this up as a result. It's described as a decadent date chai brew, and it's got chocolate, chili and date in it to really spice things up. This is definitely a tea you want to drink on its own, and it's really beautiful at this time of year because it is so warming because of the chili and sort of a bittersweet for the chocolate and the date, and it's definitely great for curling up with a horror movie, I think, if I watched horror movies. The final T2 tea I'm going to show you is the Turkish Apple. This is completely different because it's actually not a leaf tea at all. It is actually a sugar tea. So when you open it, it's kind of like sugary granules that just dissolve completely in the water when you boil it. It is definitely one of those that I don't drink that much of because I find it so sickly sweet, but when I want to be reminded of holidays in Turkey as a teenager, I definitely drink this. You can also make it into an iced drink as well, and that is incredibly refreshing. Okay, so we're going to move on to the Wittard teas now. Got a few here, and you'll notice that none of these are tea teas, they're fruit or herbal teas, and the first one is a classic example of that. It is the Love Tea, or the rest of the year it is known as the Red Velvet Cake Blend. What I find really cute about this is that the tin was created as a limited edition for Valentine's Day. I'll actually open it and show you one of these little confetti hearts that are also in the blend, which I think they've only brought out for the Love Tea. See if I can do this without dropping it. Oh, no. Oh, let's try that again. Oop. So like that, if you can see that. It's a little pink sugar love heart, and I just think they are incredibly cute. You don't, as a result of that, you do not need to add any other flavourings or any milk to it. It is perfectly fine on its own. And I just, once I do eventually use this up, I will be keeping the tin for storage. The next tea I'm going to, two teas I'm going to show you, I use as my bedtime drinks, and it is the Golden Chamomile and the Sleepy Tea. I kind of alternate between the two. Chamomile is also great for blonde hair as well. Apparently, if you make a cold cup of chamomile tea and just rinse it through blonde hair, it's supposed to really brighten it. If anyone's tried that, let me know in the comments. I like to add a little bit of honey to these because I find although they're delicious and herbal, I sometimes need the edge taken off of me slightly, so I put a little bit of honey in. The Sleepy Tea is made with chamomile, lavender, licorice and linden flowers, and it's quite an unusual taste to get used to, but I find it incredibly relaxing, both scent wise and flavour wise. And this is just a delicate floral with a bit of honey. When you add a bit of honey, it just really accentuates it and it's beautiful. The other tea that will want to show you is another Wittard one, and it is a fruit tea called Mulled Wine. Now this is limited edition, they only do this around Christmas time, and I stockpile this every single year. It is fruity, it is warming, it is spicy, they do a sort of a sugary version, like a sugar one, rather like the T2 one that I showed you, but I much prefer the actual the actual tea bag blend. It's just much more fruitier and much more winey. It's like a berry kind of thing, and it's just delicious. So those are my teas. I'm now going to move on to the hot chocolate section. Now you'll notice that all of these are from Whittard, so I'll quickly blow through these. So hot chocolate, let's get to it. The first one I'm going to show you is probably my favourite hot chocolate ever, and it is the Praline white hot chocolate. I don't usually like white hot chocolate because I find it quite sickly, but this is a complete game changer. The praline in it is definitely great for taking off that sugary candy sweet edge, and it just warms up the flavour for me, and I absolutely adore it. With the Whittard ones, you do not add water to these, you only add hot milk, and once again I will make a video at some point to show you how to do it. So that's the Praline white hot chocolate. I've also got the 70% cocoa hot chocolate. I actually bought this for Matt because he doesn't necessarily like things that are sickly sweet. He likes sweet things, but he's not crazy about sort of traditionally sweet things. He quite likes things that are slightly off the wall. So as a result, he asked me to pick up this because he thought he'd really like it, but actually he realised that he didn't. So as a result, I kept it. I'm not a massive fan of this one either. I only really drink this when I'm on my period, because dark chocolate is actually really good for you. It helps with the iron and the sugar intake that you lose when you're menstruating. So I know that's a bit TMI, but I love that for that, but I can't drink a lot of it because I find it a bit too much. But if you really like dark chocolate, then definitely go for this. Another hot chocolate that I'm loving is the chili hot chocolate. Now, I didn't think I would. This was one that I bought on a whim, thinking I should probably try it at least once. And then I fell in love with it. The chili isn't strong or spicy or fiery. It's very, very warming, and it's great to take with you on the way to work or when you're coming home from work. Even trick-or-treating, I think this would be really, really good for. So if you're fortunate or unfortunate enough, depending on how you look at it, to have to take little ones trick-or-treating in the cold weather this year, I recommend having this in a flask to keep you going. The last one was initially a limited edition product and now is around all year round, and it is the Raspberry Ripple White Hot Chocolate. What's really exciting about this is that it's actually pink in the mug when you make it. It's inspired by the ice cream flavour, and I absolutely love it. It's sweet, but it's not, again, it's not sickly. It has the right amount of berry sweetness in it to cut through the creaminess of the white hot chocolate and just makes it really, really, really enjoyable. So yeah, so they brought this out for Valentine's Day, but it was so popular they kept hold of it. Oh yeah, if you haven't noticed, they both have the same packaging decorations. It's pretty cool. If I got these as a combo next year, I'd be so happy. So that is all the hot chocolate. I'm now going to move on to my others in my other hot drinks category. These are because I love them, but I don't drink them as often for varying reasons. For instance, coffee. Now, I do like coffee, but I've had a kind of a love-hate relationship with it over time. There are times where I'm guzzling it like there's no tomorrow, and then there are other times where I just can't go anywhere near it. Even the smell makes me feel sick. So I kind of have that love-hate relationship with it. So whilst I was working at Whittard, I fell in love with the San Agustin Colombia ground coffee, which is from Whittard, and it's their level roast free. Now, the darker you go with a roast, the sort of deeper the flavour, but the less caffeine you're gonna get. Whilst if you go for like a number 1 or sort of around the 3 to 1, you're gonna have quite a bit of coffee, but it's more of a citrusy flavour. and I think I used to go for roasts that were just far too dark for my liking. So 3 for me is my happy medium. The San Agustin Columbia blend is citrus, bright, sweet and nutty. With the Wittard hot coffee, you can't just drink it instantly. You need a coffee machine with it. I use a French press myself. You can get them pre-ground like this one, or you can actually get them ground for you in store, and it used to be one of my jobs when I was working there. So I'd quite often be stinking of coffee when I came home. But no, I absolutely love this one. If you're not as much of a coffee lover because you find a roast too deep or too strong, then I would suggest getting something like this. I will also be showing you guys how to use a French press to make coffee with as well, so you can drink decent coffee. The final product I'm going to show you is actually something you can get in a local supermarket, and it is the Drink Me Chai Latte Spiced. It's pretty much, you know the chai lattes you can get in like Starbucks or don't think Costa do a chai latte, or Cafe Nero definitely do. And I wanted to recreate it at home, so when I found this in the supermarket one day, I was so excited, because all you need to do is just add water or milk to a powder and sort of whisk it up, and you've got almost as good a chai latte as you could get in a coffee shop. It's incredibly simple. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any favourites, let me know in the description below. If you've tried any of these, or if you're inspired to give them a go. What are your favourite things to drink at this time of year? Let me know. As always, you can follow me on social media, so that's Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr and Facebook. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!